That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Believe it or not, barely a month from now, the kids will be back in school. So while you're getting some fresh looks for your kids before they head back, make sure to get a fresh look for your home too with my cleaning heroes at Zero Res. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, so it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res. It's also the height of the summer allergy season, so it's the perfect time to get your air ducts cleaned. Get that nasty pollen and dust that's been swirling through your air conditioner out of your home. This month from Zero Res, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. You owe it to yourself, your kids, and your home to get the fall off to a good start. Call Zero Res today, 9520-RES, or schedule an appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com. Zero Res, backward or forward spells the same.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 55, Tuesday sunny with a high near 80, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 86. Don't just settle for what's in the cupboard. Elevate your meals with premium oils and vinegars from Vinaigrette. They offer the finest selection of extra virgin olive oils, balsamic vinegars, fused extra virgin olive oils, white balsamic vinegars, and wine vinegars. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis. More at vinaigrettemn.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you for joining me tonight. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope that you had a great weekend. I had a pretty good weekend, and I just wanted to thank Maria Shaw for a great event this last weekend. She had a psychic fair and some classes, this kind of sort of event in Bloomington, and it was fantastic. I went to her crossover gallery on Sunday, which was very moving and very incredible. I've actually, all the years I've gone to different sorts of galleries and whatnot, I've never experienced anything quite like it. So it still has actually an effect on me. So I'm just kind of keeping that little gift to myself right now. I know they're planning something in October, and once I know more, I will pass it along. And I'd also like to thank Char Savoy for all she did to get me into this event this last weekend. And actually, normally she does her own classes and stuff, and she shared the stage with me so we could do a presentation. And I know that I really do appreciate that quite a bit. Now, this week is a big week for us, and we have a big event at the Anderson House in Wabasha, Minnesota. The event starts Friday, August 18th, and ends Sunday, August 20th. It's a weekend of paranormal investigation, talks about all things paranormal in the history of Wabasha and the Anderson Hotel. And we also have a great guest attending as well. We all know Dave Schrader. You will have seen him on great Travel Channel series such as The Holzer Files and Ghost of Devil's Perch, as well as listening to him in the podcast, The Paranormal 60. I and many others have been impressed over the years by his keen paranormal mind. And we were thrilled when Dave said that he would join us in Wabasha for his first investigation of this historic hotel. Dave, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this, Greg, for your show tonight and to be a part of this investigation. It's one of those funny things. People always ask, where are some great places to investigate in Minnesota? And you kind of get into the trappings of hitting up the same ones over and over because you get used to them. And you forget that there are so many other great places in Wabasha, less than an hour away from me. Why haven't I been to the Anderson House yet?
That's what we were wondering, but I'm glad you waited for us to invite you. because this,
Well,
maybe we'll pick up the ghosts of Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, since where they filmed Grumpy Old Men is literally parts of it is kitty corner from that hotel.
hey,
So
Greg, do me a favor and pull your lower lip over your head and swallow.
well, right? So
Right.
first of all, you're quite the belle of the ball tonight, because you just finished recording and doing the live for your podcast, Paranormal 60, and I was listening to that on the drive over, and you had quite the conversation tonight with Dave Foley talking about the UAP and the congressional hearing and stuff, and that was really fascinating. And Adam, who's doing the board tonight, we were just talking about, we never thought that Dave Foley was a UFO guy, and here we are, and he's speaking exquisitely about that topic.
I was at an event in Richmond, Virginia, at GalaxyCon. GalaxyCon is this series of kind of fun nerd sci-fi paranormal conventions that travels around the United States. And I say nerd from the bottom of my heart with the most love, because it's like Star Trek members are there, and famous 90s boy bands are there, and kids from your favorite TV shows like Boy Meets World, and then you've got musical acts and all kinds of cool stuff going on. I am one of the paranormal contingent, so I've been hired to all of the events this year, and I was sitting in the green room at this big table having a sandwich right across from one of my favorite guys. I being a radio fan, Dave Foley from News Radio, I was like, holy cow. Plus, I loved his series, The Kids in the Hall, the irreverent sketch comedy show out of Canada. And I didn't know what to say, and I just politely introduced myself. He said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I host a paranormal show and do this and that." And he started saying, "Are you keeping up on UFOs? What do you think of this?" And he was so passionate about what he was doing, and then told me his own UFO encounter and the fact that he was out with, I believe, Jeremy Corbell at the time when this took place, and that he's become friends with George Knapp and so many of the people in the field. I was blown away, and I'm like, "This is great." We started chatting, and I, reached out to him and asked him to be on my show, and he popped on for a quick bit on one episode, and then he came back tonight to kind of catch us up on what he's finding out from all the interviews he's doing, what his unique insight is, because he's, as he said, he's kind of a layman out there who's fascinated by this but wants to understand more, and he's digging deep into what these congressional hearings mean, what these sightings mean and reflect, and it's just been a great eye-opening experience for him. Plus, we've had talks about ghosts, and I was just out in Raleigh, North Carolina, at another GalaxyCon with him and some of his celebrity friends, and we all sat there exchanging ghost and UFO and Bigfoot stories, and it was kind of just this mind-blown moment.
I bet. And so if anyone has a chance, first of all, his podcast sounds amazing, but your conversation with him, there was a couple things that I thought was really interesting, and I don't want to get too much into it because people should just go and listen to it. But even just like him still getting his head around within the congressional hearing about understanding that, that there has been some reverse technology done to things and whatever. And I thought that was interesting, because I always kind of think us being into UFOs and stuff, we just assume that stuff, reverse engineering, we just assume it. But for him and probably others, I guess, just being like, this is being said, now I have to actually kind of come to terms with it a little bit. I have to think on this.
Right. And that's exciting, right? Because that means that we're no longer just sitting in our lifestyles, just, punching the card, going home, eating, sleeping, and starting a day over. Now our minds and our paradigms are being opened and examined now more than ever. And it's an exciting time to be alive, man. I can't wait to see what comes up next, even if it's only on fringe element news shows, because or YouTube, because the regular media doesn't deem it important enough. I am interested to see this, so that when the disclosure and the acknowledgement comes, guys like you and I and Dave Foley and Dave Scott and so many of the strong women in the paranormal field that are following this, we'll all already kind of be there, and we can help the others catch up.
Absolutely. Now, maybe we'll touch on this maybe a little bit later in the program, but there's some other things I'd like to move on to,
Please.
and I also want to open up the phone lines. Anyone who wants to ask Dave a question tonight, we have Adam here in studio with us, and he's going to be taking calls. He might even have some questions. If you have questions in the chat, please put them in there for Dave. We talked beforehand. He's happy to answer them. If you want to call in at 952-946-6205. That's 952-946-6205. I also want to say, Dave, congratulations that there is that movie web article that came out just like today, right? The 10 best paranormal investigation TV shows of all time, and Holzer Files is number 10 on that. Well done.
See, I like to look, everybody's like, oh, you should have been number one. How do you know what order this guy put him in?
Absolutely.
Maybe we were his number one pick at number 10. We were the best. I don't know, but I'm still psyched to be a part of the list. As number 10, there are so many shows out there that were not part of this list that it really is humbling to know that somebody, especially when we've been off the air for 2 years with that program, to know people still consider us in that high of regards with the Holzer Files, which now, if I can mention, you can watch on Discovery Plus, or if you have Max, the app Max, you can stream all of the Discovery Channel programs over on Max now. So Holzer Files, Ghosts of Devil's Perch, A Demon in the White House, and Curse of Lizzie Borden. Those are the 4 different programs and projects I've been a part of. And if you're up for it, you can filter through all the seasons of Ghost Adventures and see, I think, about 10 episodes that I've done there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it was really cool. And you and I talked almost every time I see you. I always say that I think it was a mistake that Holzer Files went away. So I won't go into that and bore you further with that. We just all know that that's the case, and everyone in the comments here agree.
I'm just happy to have been given the opportunity to do 23 episodes and be able to kind of put Dr. Holzer's name back in the lexicon so people remember. And although there are so many disappointed, at least we got 23 opportunities to tell stories that I think meant something and were more than just screaming and yelling and running around. It was giving an opportunity for the ghosts to speak. And I feel very proud about that show.
You should. Now, Adam, did you have something?
Yeah, actually going to the Holzer Files. Number 1, I absolutely loved that show.
Thank you, Adam.
Number 2, it's kind of a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
What was the most intriguing case for the Holzer Files that you went on after reading and going through all of Hans's materials? And the second part to that is, did Shane really want to go into all those dark places by himself?
Okay. Let me start with number 2 first, right? The hashtag Poor Shane movement. First of all, let it now be known that I'm the one that began the hashtag Poor Shane on Twitter. When we started watching the show live with listeners, I said, somebody's going to the basement, hashtag Poor Shane. So when we shot the show, I'm going to give you guys a little insight here. We'd film for 5 to 6 days, 12 to 14 hours a day. And that gets pared down to 42 minutes. Mm-hmm. At one point in every investigation, each one of us is alone in the same room. But we only show the moments when something happens, something intriguing. And sometimes it was around Shane. Sometimes it happened to me. Sometimes it was about Cindy. So there are times that Shane had to go to even darker, creepier places, but you never see it because nothing happened to him. So that's how it rotates around. The attics and basement, I'm going to tell you in all honesty, and for those of you watching the show right now, I'm going to give you the best perspective, okay? You're looking at me. I'm now Shane, walking in an old house in the attic or basement. You'll notice my head's got clearance. My shoulders have clearance. I'm able to move through. A lot of those buildings were built in the 17 and 1800s or very early 1900s with very short basements and attics. If I'm up there, you see me like this, hunched up and all. This is not a good look for this right here. Not a good look for TV as it is. This even worse for TV. Nobody wants to watch Dave Quasimodo stooping around in these areas. I did that, and you saw a few of the episodes where that happened. But it was more about, Shane's reaction was great, and I loved it. The directors loved it, and there were times I'd say, should I start in the basement this time? And they're like, oh, of course you shouldn't. We love when Shane gets all bent out of shape at you. And he would, but he was a good sport about it. And the thing was, he came in the more novice of the three of us. And although he was great with the tech, being in the thick of it was new to him. And he states, unless he's just really being kind to me, he states that he was proud of the work that he learned from me and teaching him how to, kind of try to stand his ground and look at things a different way so that he wouldn't be as affected. And, obviously, if you watch 28 Days Haunted on Netflix, where he was more prominently featured as the lead investigator of his own team, he certainly came into his own. And he was jumpy a couple times, but not nearly what you saw in the Holzer Files. So I am proud to have worked with him. I love that guy like a brother, and am so happy to have worked with him. What episode impacted me the most story-wise? The Devil in Texas is an interesting story because it was one where Hans Holzer was not able to properly help the family, and that was rare. And it always ate away at Dr. Holzer because he thought he figured it out. He thought he had it licked for this family that was dealing with this possible demonic entity and poltergeist. And in the long run, the young man who dealt with it, he was broken from years of this trauma and took his own life. And when Dr. Holzer checked back in, he was brokenhearted to find out that the boy had lost his life. Oh. And the network brought the story, and they were like, I said, could we ever go back after the Devil in Texas? And they said, Dave, we looked into it and it didn't end well. And I said, what do you mean? And they explained it to me. And then I said, I have an idea. What if we open a new Holzer file in the vein of what he did? And I have a listener to my radio show who just wrote in and is being scratched and bitten and attacked, and she's worried for the safety of herself and her two children, just like the original family. What if we go take what we know and where the failings happened from the last investigation so that we can walk in Dr. Holzer's shadow and take the new knowledge to help this family out? And that's exactly what we did. And I feel that we honored the legacy of Dr. Holzer, and we were able to help a family. And now Lydia, who was afflicted, we helped empower her and embolden her and help her kind of break away from the things that were holding her. And she is doing great. And she's actually very in touch with her abilities and helping people like her that were dealing with negative entities and negative hauntings.
That's incredible. There's a lot more I want to talk about with this, but we got to take our first break right now. We have Dave Schrader with us tonight. We're talking about a lot of things. We're also going to be talking about an event that we're holding together this week. So definitely stick around. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have a lot of things to talk about, including your questions. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Are you ready to embark on a journey towards taking control of your health and well-being? I'm Candy Broppel, host of Green Tea Conversations. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I sit down with the local experts who are bridging the gap between mainstream medicine and complementary therapies. Each week, we explore topics in integrative medicine, nutrition, fitness, creative expression, personal growth, and sustainable living. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
And welcome back to GhostBox Radio. My name is Greg Bach, and if you need to call in, if you want to call in and ask Dave a question, call in at 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Dave, we have quite the event coming up this weekend at the Anderson House in Wabasha, Minnesota. The hotel itself, as far as lodging, is sold out, but don't let that stop you. There's still some tickets left. We'd love to sell it out. And also, if you buy tickets, we're going to give you some help in finding a place to stay while you're in Wabasha. That's not far from where the event's taking place. And just a couple things we're doing. I'm just looking at it. We're going to be investigating the Anderson Hotel. That's going to be Friday and Saturday night. The hotel itself opened in 1856, expanded in 1887. There's once we get into the event, we have people from the Chamber of Commerce coming in, giving us some history on Wabasha, on the Anderson House, but also not too much, so people can go in there and have a good time investigating itself. You know, Dave, I'm sure it's very different for you now because you have so much going on, but back when you maybe didn't have as much going on and you were going to new places to investigate and maybe you had time to kind of take it all in, did you ever do like any like pre-work on your investigation, or did you prefer to go in there
Sure.
with knowing a little bit less? What did you prefer?
It depended on the situation and the location. Sometimes I really like to get into the history prior. Other times I like the Holzer files. I like to know some information, but I like to go in and see what we uncover and does any of it make sense? And then go back to historians and talk to historians only to find out that some of what the spirits told us, some of the things that were revealed turned out to be exactly what took place in that place. And I had no prior knowledge, so I couldn't have guessed at it. Neither could the medium or the people that we worked with. Like I said, it all depends. I've been on this strange journey, Greg, because I've had paranormal experiences throughout my entire life.
Yeah.
And I have witnessed things I cannot explain. Some I can. But I've noticed that through the years, my sensitivity has definitely gotten stronger. Boy, this last weekend, I just was at Pennsylvania in Newcastle at Hillview Manor. And one of the first times ever I've gone in and my full force Spidey sense was in effect. I mean, I could just tell you there was definitely something in this room with us, and I'd open up my recorder and we were getting things. So I'm excited to be developing that ability. I mean, it's only taken me 55 years to get to this point, Greg, but you know, like a fine wine, I take my time. So I'm excited to go in.
Thought of you as a fine wine, Dave. I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it. I mean, I was just telling that to Adam.
No,
fine wine on the air, and
what you said, and I heard you was fine. Let him whine. That's what I heard.
You actually got that part right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to going into the Anderson House kind of blind to this and knowing some things, but not knowing the extent or where necessarily the spirits are accumulating or why they're there, because I like to give the spirits a chance to talk. And the reason I say that, Greg, is, you know, a lot of times, you might be surprised to know sometimes history gets the wrong story.
No.
And we can go back in, and there have been people banging the drum for years trying to get the story rectified. And I go in and just allow the ghosts to tell me.
Yeah.
And when they give me the information, I hope that I can help those spirits and give them a voice again.
What I also find that some people might hang their hats on more than they should is if they have a preconceived notion of certain spirits that are at a location, maybe famous, so to speak, because the lore has been going on so long, they focus on trying to reach out to those spirits. And like you said, I like the idea of you saying, just listen to spirits talk, just listen to what's coming through, because you just never know what you're going to pick up. And I think that's a healthy way of doing it. And I think it's a lot more fun that way.
Right. And you don't go in with necessarily a skewed perspective, or I go in with intention, not expectation, if that makes sense. I go in with the intention of making communication, but not with the intention of I'm going in with the expectation that I'm going to speak to Greg. and I'm going to speak to the spirit of Shar. And this is because then when sometimes you're so hyper focused, you miss out on the other elements, the other spirits that are looking to speak, because you've limited your own creativity, your own brain. And I hesitate to use the word imagination because it sounds, oh, you're making it up. But no, I believe that engaging the creative, imaginative part of your brain allows for better communication. And that comes from somewhere. Look at how many playwrights, authors, and musicians that open that up, free flow, and they don't know where the information comes from, but it is a spiritual journey. And I think that that's exciting.
It is very exciting. Now, when you go into these investigations, when you're part of events and stuff, do you ever bring any equipment, or do you let other people and equipment and you just bring Dave to the investigation?
Let's face it. Do I need any other equipment besides the Dave, Greg?
Yeah, no.
I've been told I'm a huge tool.
That's what I was just about to tell you that.
Wait a minute. I like the recorder. I come in with my recorder and maybe go to my necrophonic spirit box just as an accessory. But I've gotten away from being so focused on so many screens because I feel I miss out on what's going on. And I love to be in the moment and aware. And I love those, EVP is my thing, electronic voice phenomena, for those of you that may not know, on a show called GhostBox Radio. But I love having that immediacy.
Yes.
That communication back and forth. And so that's exciting to me.
It is. And I'm going to be bringing a number of spirit boxes, because I do, and one of them is a nice.
What? You have spirit boxes?
I have one or two, and one is a custom that was built by a gentleman named Andre, and that's why we call it the Andre box. And imagine that, right? And
real creative, Greg.
Real creative, but it's a beautiful box, and we've gotten a lot of good stuff from there. So I'm going to see. I've never taken it to the Anderson house before, so I'm really looking forward to see what that is. The place I'm going to be stationed in during the investigation, which you should be happy it's not with you, so you're safe this time. It's going to be kind of a ITC spirit box sort of culture, if you will. It's going to be great.
Well, I hope at some time I could be with you for that, because I'd like to witness that myself during the investigation.
No, that was in the contract. You don't investigate with me.
Damn it.
You're like, what contract?
I get gropey and play grab ass once in a dark room, and now you don't want to be my friend, Greg. I see how it is.
Yeah, I guess we all thought that investigation meant different things at that time, but
bad touch, Dave. Bad touch. I'm sorry, Greg. I just wanted a hug. I am bringing a new tool with me to try to help get the spirit world communicating with me as well. And I don't know if I should show you or surprise you when we're at the event.
If you wait till you show me until I'm at the event, it may make me want to actually go. Or you can.
Well, I hope you want to go. It's your event. I'm just a paid monkey to be there, man.
or if you want to show for people who are still on the fence about whether or not they want to go, this might be what gets them to actually get that ticket that they've been putting off, Adam, for a long time. And Adam.
Yeah, well, let's get up and Adam to sign up, because there are very few tickets that remain for this investigation. Greg, Shar, myself, we're going to all be on hand. We're going to help you try to make communication with the other side, and we're going to have a great time doing it. And all right, I'll show you. I have a brand new investigative friend who's coming with me that I'm hoping will inspire the spirits to come out and play. And while I was at the Hillview Manor this last weekend, I was introduced to this and decided that my life was empty without it. And he needed to join me going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, meet my new buddy. Yeah.
Jeez. That's the stuff of nightmares. I'm going to make it bigger for people to see. Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is Oliver. And Oliver is going to come with me. Oliver, are you excited about going on the ghost hunt? Yeah, boo, boo, boo is right. We're going to go look for ghosts together, Ollie. So this should be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that the spirits will want to come out to play with Oliver and get to know him as much as I have and fall in love just like I have as well.
So here's the problem, the immediate problem. For those who are listening on the radio, there is Dave has held up a doll that looks like it's in prison garbs, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he just is dressed in a nice blue and gray stripe onesie.
It says child's in prison. I don't know what's going on here. It speaks. It's the stuff of nightmares. If you listen to the show long enough, you know that tonight Adam will be sleeping with the lights on after seeing that.
It is a reportedly haunted doll. And it is a doll that came out that is an intelligent doll that learns to communicate like a Furby. That the more you speak with it, the more you work with it. And I'm going to work with it on certain things to try to see if it will see the unseen, if it can alert us to possible spiritual activity and entice the spirits to come play with it.
Now, do you know if this doll kills? I'm just going to ask the questions I think everyone else is wanting to ask. Does this doll kill? I mean, it looks like it could. Just being honest. Has it taken you over right now?
I don't know what you're talking about, Greg. And I don't think Oliver likes the tone of your voice.
This is why we're investigating in different rooms.
Yeah. All of a sudden it's going to be Dave's not here.
Yeah, that's cool. That's going to be really neat to see what happens with that. And that's what I love about this field, when people are just being creative with how can we try something different to bring forth any kind of communication or activity.
I have an idea I could share with you. I don't know. Do we have to take another break? I don't want to step on it if we do.
No, we got about 6-7 minutes before we have to take a break.
Okay. So I was thinking outside the box, trying to consider what could we do to communicate with spirits, with energies, and trying to think of common items that we use. And it struck me. I said, I think I would like, and this was during one of my talks back in 2007, I said, I think I'd like to take an Etch-a-Sketch with me, because what's inside are magnetic filings, right?
Yeah.
And you're effectively carving the magnetic filings out, and it drops, it creating the image on the screen. And an investigator, Dusty out of Florida, heard me talking about this and thought, what the hell? I have an Etch-a-Sketch laying around, and they brought the Etch-a-Sketch into a home that they were investigating. And she called me back, and she's since passed, I'm sorry to say, but Dusty said, Dave, I've got to tell you, this is one of the most unusual things I've ever seen. The way they would do this is they would get a house, they would set up their equipment everywhere throughout the house that had these reputed claims, and they would allow it to just record and film for a full 24 hours without human disturbance. They had on their staff was a police officer, and his job was to sit out front to watch the house to make sure nobody entered it, nobody changed anything, nobody did anything, so that they know if there was anything that might be altering the evidence. And then after that period, they'd go in and collect all their equipment, and they would go back and review it. And then once they got an idea of where the hot spots were, what was taking place, that would be the room or two that they would focus on for their full investigation. And Dusty said, I had an inkling to try this in the children's room. And I left the Etch-a-Sketch in there. And she said, and when we returned and unlocked the door and went in, there was just this pall over the air. It was just very thick. Something felt off. And we went in and collected our things. And then we went into the children's room. And as we're gathering our stuff, I reached down for the Etch-a-Sketch, and my breath just caught. And I said, what did you see? Half expecting her to say, oh, it drew Mr. Potato Head or something. She goes, Dave, there was a name scrawled across the front of the Etch-a-Sketch. And I took a picture with my phone. I lifted it carefully, brought it in front of the video camera so it could detail what was being, seen. When they reviewed, I guess, the evidence, you could not see the dials moving, but the camera did pick up the sound of.
Oh, wow.
Throughout. And they, again, they didn't even put two and two together until later when they realized that was the room with the Etch-a-Sketch, that's what they were hearing, this squeaking and scratching. It was very weird. But what it turned out was one of the young children that had lived in that house prior had been murdered. And they believed that it had been murdered by a family friend. And the name that was scrawled on this was the name of the family friend. And she couldn't talk more about it at the time because he was never charged with the murder. And you have to be very careful legally with what you say. So if I say, "Oh, Greg murdered," I'm now libeling myself. So, but she said that it scrawled out the name. She took it to the family and asked, "Does this make sense?" And their jaws hit the floor.
Wow.
So unfortunately, it wasn't evidence. I mean, I think they took it to the police, but the cops are like, this is inadmissible. How do we use this though? This is insane. So
that's not going to go anywhere. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Wow. That's so. And I think I've heard some people think about using Etch-a-Sketches before in investigations. Have you done it a number of times, or just really the once? Or
well, that wasn't me that used it. It was Dusty Smith out of Florida.
Got it.
She used it. I have never brought an Etch-a-Sketch to an investigation because my kids are destructive forces of nature, Greg, and their Etch-a-Sketches never lasted more than a week or two because they get slid under beds or stepped on or whatever. I have never brought one to an investigation. And now, as I said, I've just really kind of settled into my place with the use of recording devices, but I would be open to it. And I'm always talking to people. Another one that people were talking about using was the Woolly Willy. Do you remember those little magnetic doodle pads that had all the magnetic filings, and you'd have a pen with a little magnetic tip and you try to draw the beard with the filings or mustache on the character?
Yep.
I actually had a person that made one for me with my likeness on it. And then the magnetic filings you could turn into my goatee. And I should dig that out and take it with, but I don't know what information I'd get other than the ghost can mock me openly and put devil horns on me or make a snidely whiplash mustache. I'm not sure how that would turn out.
And the true sign of respect over here is people like, "Oh, that's why you look so familiar, Dave." So nice.
Why, the Woolly Willy?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Better than Rick from Pawn Stars, which is what most people think I am.
That's true. Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead, take our second break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the event, other things. Also, folks, your questions, if you want to call in, if you want to put something into the comments, whatever you'd like to do. We got Dave here. We got him for another segment. So I'd love to hear what you all are thinking. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Bruner's Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 55, Tuesday sunny with a high near 80, and Wednesday sunny with a high around 86. Don't just settle for what's in the cupboard. Elevate your meals with premium oils and vinegars from Vinaigrette. They offer the finest selection of extra virgin olive oils, balsamic vinegars, fused extra virgin olive oils, white balsamic vinegars, and wine vinegars. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis. More at vinaigrettemn.com.
And join us tomorrow night on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakken, as we're going to be talking with Gary Galka, who created the SB7 Spirit Box and is coming out with the SB7 Pro. And as you know about me, I'm all about that. And he has created a lot of equipment that you've seen on shows throughout the years, such as the Mel Meter. We're going to have a very interesting conversation tomorrow. He's going to be bringing along some recordings that he has taken from using the SB7 Pro. So, or Bro, I suppose that could work too. I'm really looking forward to that. This is a cool looking piece of equipment. So we'll see what he comes up with. Wednesday is going to be One Question Reading Wednesday with our guest medium, Lily McNamara, and they will be there to read any questions that you would like to be answered. You know the drill. Thursday will be ufologist Tom Conwell as we talk more about the book, The Night Visitant, and we wrap up the week with Casual Friday. For those of you who are interested in getting tickets for our event with Dave Schrader, starting this Friday over at the Anderson Hotel in Wabasha, Minnesota, all you need to do is go to charvinity.com. In the menu, look for events. You're going to find the event there, and you can just go ahead and get tickets. There's just a small number left, but we certainly want to be able to fill out everybody and make sure that we have a solid crowd, because it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great weekend. There's going to be a lot of not only investigating, but there's also going to be a lot of discussions, a really good chance to have some time with Dave, and I think it's going to be really a lot of fun. Now, Dave,
and I'm giving out free hugs.
Yeah.
Wow, Greg, so
I can't
bitter.
wait. Did you? No, I'm not bitter. I'm just not a very huggy sort of person. When you took me by surprise when we were at the last voyage of the Demeter, and we shook hands, and then you went in for a hug, and I mean I loved it. Trust me, I loved it. But you probably noticed I recoiled, and it wasn't because of you. It's just kind of the shambles of a man that I am that created that. So I'm an awkward human being is all I'm saying.
You just need more Dave hugs. That's
you also
really
don't text other individuals, Greg.
Oh, is that how this is going to go?
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I will say this though. First of all, for people listening, how do they spell Charvinity? If they want to find tickets, Charvinity could be spelled a billion different ways. How do they go find those tickets?
CHARVINITY.com. And you go to the menu. There's an events tab. Just click on that. You'll be able to find the event. It's under Dave Schrader of Anderson House Event. So it should be easy to find. And that's a good call out because it's such a unique name. But definitely, folks, check it out. Go there. We have a full itinerary of what we're going to be doing over the course of those days. And the Anderson House just got a new chef. They have food service. They just opened up their new bar in the basement, the Lost Dutchman, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait, Dave, for you to check out the place.
Me too. I'm super psyched about that. We've got a lot of great friends, mutual friends, a lot of our friends and followers from the Paranormal 60 and GhostBox Radio are going to be on hand. And like I said, folks, there are very few tickets that remain. Less than 6 tickets remain. Don't wait for the last minute. Don't think you're just going to show up at the door and we're going to be able to let you in. Get your tickets now. Charvinity, CHARVINITY.com. And then make sure to check out the events tab. Click on the Anderson House with me and make your time to come ghost hunt. We're going to have a blast.
And Shar, I think you're still listening. If you're still listening, could you put the link into the comments, please? That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer some questions? We got a bunch of questions that came in through the chat. Would you like to answer some questions?
I would, but first I would like you to just tell me real quickly, has the Anderson House always been haunted? Is it just the new owners that have uncovered this and found that there's something beyond the normal Ken that exists in that abode?
No, there's been activity there for quite some time. I can't tell you exactly when it started, but there's some stories that have taken place that led to believe that some of those spirits that were left behind, that they actually still haunt the Anderson House. And what's interesting, because the Anderson House has been a working hotel virtually from the time it opened to 2009, I believe it was, and then it closed for a couple years and then opened back up. There are spirits that people have been able to communicate with that were people who worked there in the 80s. You know what I mean? So there's just that sort of like, it's not necessarily like, everyone always thinks about ghosts from like the 1800s or World War II era or something. No, we're talking even as much as soon as the 80s. And there's been some people there that have picked up some actual spirit box recordings, as it happens, and people who had worked there during that time were on hand to listen, and immediately they recognized the voice that they hadn't heard
Wow.
in nearly 40 years. And that's the cool stuff. That's the
Cool.
stuff I love. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. No,
All
it's
right.
great.
What questions do you have for me?
Mr. Brad Webb asks you, has there ever been a location that has scared you so bad that you refuse to return? And don't say the studios of AM 950. Let's not make that
No,
public.
not at all. No, there's not. There's not been. I've been to a few places that were underwhelming. I felt were just like, I don't really feel this is that haunted, but that's the only reason I probably wouldn't go back. I might just to give it another shot because, believe it or not, ghosts don't always just tap dance for us when we want them to. But nothing that's ever terrified me or frightened me enough to not want to go back. I've stood in the well in Bobby Mackey's, the well to hell.
Yep.
The portal to hell. I've been in just about every major haunted locale in the United States at this point and some around the world. I tell people, first of all, I go in with the intention to have an experience. The expectation is to be open. The intention is to be available to the spirits. So if I was there, I might get shocked, like, whoa, did you see that? But it doesn't mean I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I've only been afraid a few times, and those were more because I just, like when I got shoved at the Whaley house in the ghost, the Holzer files. That was frightening in the sense that that kind of activity had never happened to me before. And that kind of force was so beyond my imagination. Because I've always, really, they got pushed by a ghost. I'd kind of roll my eyes at the concept. To have something actually hit me with that force, knock me into somebody, and then drop me to the ground like a sack of potatoes. That took a while to get my head wrapped around. I went from being afraid to, I now accept that I kind of have been the whipping boy for some of these spirits. Because I kind of feel like that's a gift. And I know that sounds weird, Greg, but I feel like the spirit found somebody that they can reach to, somebody that they can get the attention of, and somebody that doesn't run or scream or misinterpret them. And I'll take that. If it means I got to get a little bumped and bruised to do it, then so be it. This happened. What can I do to help? That's my next thought.
I had the experience, and I've people who've listened to the show before are going to know what I'm talking about here, because I've talked about it a couple times. But I was out in Indiana doing some squatching with Denise Ernie Pack, Char Savoy, some other people, and during being in the woods and stuff, I got this touch on the back of my head, like someone held it and released. And what was really interesting about that is, like, there was no like branches or anything nearby. I don't know what that was. We were getting a lot of eye shine and stuff. And that's the sort of thing that, I think some people might be a little frightened by that, but it's actually not frightening at all. It's actually it's actually really cool, because it felt like it didn't mean any harm. And sometimes I feel like some of the forces that we get doing investigations and stuff, if we're being touched or even pushed, that maybe it's not meant to be something that maybe it's trying to get our attention and not necessarily trying to do anything more than that.
Agreed. And that's the whole thing is sometimes, people are like, well, it pulled my hair. Maybe that was the only way it could get your attention. There's a difference between kind of having your hair tugged and having somebody grab you and throw you to the ground by your hair.
Right.
And that doesn't happen, right? That's so rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Carol asks the question to you. This is more of like where one of the many billions of places that you are appearing this year, or September, it looks like. When you go to the Skinwalker Ranch in September, are you joining the haunted tour that's being available there?
I'm going to Vernal, Utah for Phenomicon. Nobody has addressed me about investigating or anything, but I'm totally open to it. I would love to be a part of whatever they're doing. And if I get a chance to go to Skinwalker Ranch, count me in.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say no either. That's for sure. And of course, one that you probably get asked quite a bit, but everyone loves to know is like, what is either your scariest or most favorite experience that you've had doing this?
Having a dream visitation from my grandfather
Hmm.
was very special, but it's a dream. So it's an easily dismissible thing as a process of grief. But that is always something special to me. Having the experiences of walking in the footsteps of Dr. Hans Holzer, one of the preeminent paranormal investigators in the world, and getting a chance to do the Holzer Files 23 episodes, igniting the stories and going back to look through the ashes of what was there and see if there's any more activity. That was fascinating. And the history that went along with it, going into locations where George Washington stood and maintained, like the Morris Jumel Mansion. He used it as a stronghold during the war. And I stood in his war room in his footprints, and Benjamin Franklin at the conference house, and the Merchants Museum, and the USS Constellation. And my God, Greg, just the history, and to know that some of America's most brilliant minds and leaders have stood in these places. And now I'm, albeit one footnote, but I am now part of the history of those locations, is very
Absolutely.
exciting and humbling. So there's so many, it's like trying to pick your favorite child. There's different elements of each one that you learn to love and learn to not love necessarily about them. So I can't just say, yes, this, that, or the other are my favorites. The Palmer House in Minnesota has always been a favorite of mine because it's local, and I've always had strange activity happen when I go there. But, for a long time, Eastern State Penitentiary, the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, the Queen Mary, and Mansfield Reformatory. Yeah, those were all like second homes to me. I was doing 2 to 3 events there each per year, and it felt like a home, and the ghosts got to know me, and the ghosts liked me, and they made contact. So many exciting things about this, and coming into moments. I think filming the Franklin House episode of the Holzer Files, Franklin Castle, and having an experience that I could involve my daughter in to help us bridge that chasm between this side and the other, because the little girl's ghost that haunted only made herself known to children. And we were 3 grown adults. How are we going to get through? And this little girl passed away from complications to diabetes. And I had almost lost my daughter 2 years prior to complications of diabetes. And I had her reach out, and she made videos that I could play in the room asking questions. And we played the recorder, and we got responses. It was powerful. And to know that that little girl made herself known to us, 3 adults, after all these years of only maintaining her, abilities to children, that was really touching to me.
And you reminded me of something I wanted to talk about earlier, because something I think we've talked before that I've also been to the Morris Jumel Mansion, and I had a fantastic experience there as well. But the Holzer File episode at Morris Jumel, I think one of the things that really stuck out, and when you said that Shane had said that he had learned a lot from you, I think one of the things that I will always keep with me, and I thought was really powerful actually, was that Shane was frightened of being down in the basement. He didn't want to go down there, and you gave him a very passionate and stern explanation why he needs to be down there, why he shouldn't back down, and why he should hold his ground while he's there. And that's always stayed with me, because I just think that we don't see that sort of positive reinforcement in a lot of these shows. And, I do think that it's important to see that. And it's important that people understand that, first of all, from the point of view of Shane being scared versus Aaron being scared are 2 very different things, I think, in my opinion. But with Shane, there is somebody who he's just scared, it's not that he doesn't want to do it. He's scared, and you are mentoring him. And I think that was very important to me to see.
I agree. It was I love that you saw it as a positive. I get a lot of people who thought I was a jerk and a bully for yelling at Shane.
No.
Shane will tell you, no, he did what needed to be done as the lead investigator. For those that didn't see the episode, while Shane was in the basement, you get a false sense of security because you're watching through a night vision camera. You can see the room around Shane. You can see the spiders dropping next to him everywhere.
Yep.
You can see the things moving that he cannot. He's in blackness. And he hears something and sees a shadow move across the room, and it unnerved him, and he flew upstairs. And I had to have the comment where I said, I told him, no, you get back downstairs, you face this. That's why we're here, to get answers. And, did that. And it was great. He turned around, I don't even have my damn flashlight. And he went back down in the basement kind of sulking, but he understood it and he went back to do it. And that I give him a lot of credit for. And because of that lecture that one time, when we hit another episode, when he ran up at first and he was by himself, he heard in his head my voice and knew the right thing to do and turned around and went back down in the basement by himself, got his recorder, and ended up capturing one of the best pieces of evidence.
We got to cut it short. Dave, thank you so much. Everybody, please, if you want to go to this event, go to Charvinity, CHARVINITY.com. Go to events. We hope to see you this week. Dave, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Greg, as always.
Take care, everyone.
Your radio